Hi, this is Simon Candy from AcousticGuitarLessonsOnline.net, and in today's video you're going to discover the best way to learn the whole fretboard of the guitar. Now, visualizing and memorizing the fretboard can be a really daunting task. However, if you've got effective, proven methods and strategies, it can be made a whole lot easier. In this lesson, I sit down with guitar playing breakthrough specialist Tom Hess to discuss and demonstrate the very best ways to learn the fretboard of your guitar. Now, a lot of the things addressed in this video don't even require you to have the guitar in your hands. You can do it away from the instrument, which makes it really accessible to you. You're going to learn the best ways to visualize chords, scales, and arpeggios on the guitar. You'll learn about the one thing that if you do this will make a huge difference to the success you have with learning the fretboard, plus really effective ways to visualize and learn and memorize the fretboard while falling asleep at night, plus a whole lot more. So let's get to it. What advice would you have for setting up a practice schedule where one can cover those things? Because of course it can be easy to get overwhelmed with all that stuff and try and fit that in with all the other things you're already doing. Do you have any specific advice or general advice, I should say, for training this stuff from day to day?
Yes. In fact, I have a way that you can learn most of this stuff eventually without really touching your guitar. See, here's the thing. There was a time when I really didn't know my guitar very well. I could play a bunch of licks and, Metallica songs when I was a teenager and, stuff like that. I could play, goof around and make stuff up. And I was okay, but I really didn't know what I was doing. I just knew where to put my fingers and I had a little bit of skill and I can kind of get my way around a little bit and new little patterns, but I didn't really understand what I was doing. And because I didn't know, I was very limited on what I could do. And there were a lot of things I couldn't do and I would never be able to do as long as I had that limitation. And that frustrated me. But to be honest, I was pretty lazy. So I wanted to know this stuff, but I didn't want to dedicate the time when I had the guitar in my hands to sit there and learn the fretboard. I would just rather play. Okay. I just want to play. I don't want to sit there and stare at this thing and, figure this stuff out. It just seemed like homework to me. Okay. I had enough of school. Now, that was my attitude at the time. And then I brought, this is going to sound a little weird. I brought all of this to bed. What does that mean? That means that I realized, I could probably, given enough time, I could probably learn the whole guitar in bed without the guitar there, just trying to visualize where things are. And that's exactly what I did. And that's how I learned probably 90% of what I know on the guitar. I don't mean techniques and stuff. I just mean like where things are, what the functions are, by visualizing while falling asleep. Now, I fall asleep pretty fast, like 2 minutes, 3 minutes, 5 minutes at the most. I'm gone. I'm out. Okay. But in those 2, 3, 4, 5 minutes while lying in bed, I would start to visualize, okay, well, what do I already know? What is easy for me to see? Well, I can see bar chord shapes in my mind. I can close my eyes and I can visualize where my fingers are. And I can figure out eventually where the notes are or which one of these notes is the fifth, which one's the third, which one's the root. I could figure that stuff out. I knew this stuff. I knew the shapes for the standard modes, major scales, minor scales. Okay, I knew that. I had that down. And now I wanted to learn, well, if I'm playing, let's say, a Phrygian fingering, okay, using various combinations of these shapes, where is the fifth in all of that? Where are the thirds in all of that? Where are even the roots and all? I wasn't sure. And I had to take time to figure it out. But as I was falling asleep, I would just take either a chord, like what I was just doing. Okay, if this is a minor chord, where's the ninth? There's one right there. There's one right there. There's one right there. I did the same thing with arpeggios. And so, where if I knew the pattern, I knew that that's D minor, but I didn't actually know which one of those notes was the fifth and the third. I knew where the D's were. This is how ignorant I was at the time. I just knew the patterns. I could play the patterns, but I didn't really know what I was doing. So since I didn't really know where the fifth was, I couldn't do cool things like adding the flatted sixth note to the arpeggio. Once I did, then it was easier. It was easier to find the ninth and add it or any of these other things. And the doors just open wide open. Okay. And I was able to do more. So what can you do? You can take a fingering that you know, a chord, a scale. You can take pentatonic scale if you want. Anything that's already familiar that you don't need your guitar in your hand to visualize. So if you can close your eyes and you can visualize a pentatonic scale or the major scale or a chord or whatever, or maybe where the A note is, then you can say, okay, here's A. Where's B flat? Well, let's see. It's got to be 1 fret higher than A. That's something you can do. You can rehearse that. You can find all the F notes in your mind, falling asleep 2, 3, 4, 5 minutes until you fall asleep. Listen, you're not doing anything anyway at that point, right? You're lying in bed, you're going to sleep, you're done doing whatever you were doing before. Now it's just the minutes between that point and falling asleep. Might as well make them productive. And here's the beautiful thing. Once you do this on a regular basis and you in the beginning, you'll probably forget to do this. I did too. I made a little note, got a little sticky pad, put a note on the pillow to remind myself I want to visualize whatever when I go to sleep. Then I started to remember to do that every night. Then when I started doing this for about 3 or 4 weeks, something awesome happened, which was this. Every time while sleeping that I woke up to like roll over or whatever, shift positions, my mind was already thinking. I mean, in the middle of the night when I'm hardly awake and I'm rolling from that side to that side, my mind is thinking about these notes. And it would go on. I probably roll over a dozen times a night. A dozen times I'm going through this stuff, not even fully, even consciously. I'm just in the 30 seconds it takes me to fall back to sleep. My mind is going there. So this stuff is running in the background every few, every hour or so running through, and got a lot done that way. And I didn't have to sacrifice any of the time I actually had with the guitar to go and learn where all this stuff was. Okay. And I was able to learn it pretty quickly. I mean, it took time, but quickly in the sense that I wasn't spending an hour a day on this. I was just falling asleep, and eventually I learned it all. And you can too. I mean, this is not unheard of. This is not hard to do. You just have to decide, hey, when I fall asleep, this is what I'm going to do. And tomorrow I'm going to do it again. I'm going to do it again. And you start doing it every night and you will learn a lot.
There's a question here, and this is referring to, working away from the guitar, working on the fretboard. Do you draw out these patterns, which I'm going to guess you're going to say yes, absolutely. Is a great way to visualize is to get fretboard paper and to jot out the patterns that you're working on. And even, if you can do it without looking at the fretboard, that would be ideal because you can just see the blank fretboard diagrams and you can, jot in either the scale shapes that you're working on at the time or chord shapes or whatever. Do you have something to add to that in regards to?
Well, yes, I have to answer the question honestly. So let me tell you let me answer the question the way it's asked, and then let me tell you what I would recommend to do. They're not the same thing. This person asks, did you draw them out? In other words, did I do that? No, I didn't. Now, I recommend for everyone else to do it, but I didn't do that. What I did was I just as I explained, I took the things that I already knew. Okay, so I knew the major scale fingerings. Okay, I knew this. I knew where the A notes were and the G notes were. I knew some stuff already. So I took what I already knew and that was easy for me to visualize, and I would just add on one more thing. I would add one more note to the chord shapes that I already knew. When I wanted to learn the melodic minor modal fingerings everywhere on the guitar, how I learned that was I just took harmonic minor, which I knew well by that point, and I simply, in my mind, visualized the harmonic minor shapes one at a time, obviously, and then made the alteration on the one note that's different between melodic minor and harmonic minor. I didn't draw them out. I just took what I already knew and then added. So to give you a really simple example, most people know the minor pentatonic scale. So if I go down to fret 5 and play A minor pentatonic, most people know that scale. All right. Now, if you know the fingering, you're in good shape already, because from this fingering, you can find lots of other things. But before you do, you need to know what are the actual functions of the notes that I play in the scale. In other words, when I play that note, what is it? In this case, it's the root. You don't have to know that it's A. That's not important right now. You want to be able to know when I take this pattern, whether I'm playing on A or G or F or D, whatever it is, I know that the first note is the root. Okay, it's kind of the given, right? Well, what is this note? It's the second note of the scale, but it is not the second. Okay, so when you're looking at the pattern, you might think, oh, that's the second note I play. Yes, it's the second note you play, but it is not the second in the key. This is actually the flatted third. That's what that is. Okay. So it's root or 1. I'm calling out the functions now. Flat 3. Go to the next string. This is 4. Even though it's the third note you're going to play, it's the fourth note of the key. Okay. If you're saying, well, how could that be? If this is the first note I play and that's the second note that I play, how could this be the third? If that's the third, where did the second go? Well, the second note is skipped. It would be right there, but we don't play that note in a minor pentatonic scale. So if you know that, 1, 3, 4, 5, flat 7, 1, and the pattern starts over again, flat 3, 4, 5, flat 7, 1, flat 3, you learn that part first. Once you learn that, then you can start adding other things. For example, let's say you wanted to add the second or the ninth to the scale. There it is. There it is again. There it is again. Okay, so what we're doing is we're adding something to something we already know. If you wanted to add the flatted sixth, that's a flatted sixth. There it is again, an octave higher. So this is something that you can visualize while falling asleep. If you know the pattern and you know that this is 1, flat 3, 4, 5, flat 7, 1, etc. If you know that much, then you can add any other note you want. You can add a sharp 11 if you want. You can add you can add a major 7th if you want. You can add a flat 5 if you want. That'll give you the blues scale. You can add those things. Now, if you don't know this pattern, step 1, go learn it. If you know the pattern, but you don't know what the intervals are that you're playing, if you don't know that this is flat 3, you need to go learn that. Once you learn those two things, you got the pattern, you know now the functions, you can figure it out, or you ask someone, or you go look it up, or whatever. Now you can, that's like having a skeleton. Now you can start adding the flesh to the skeleton, and doors start opening for you that are currently definitely going to be closed.
If you like this video, you'll love this ebook complete with video examples called 10 melodic fingerpicking patterns you can learn in 10 minutes or less. Do you struggle to make the fingerpicking patterns you learn on guitar sound like music? Perhaps it's because you believe in one or more of these fingerpicking pattern myths. 1. You need to know a lot of patterns to have your fingerpicking sound musical. 2. Only advanced fingerpicking patterns sound musical. Easy patterns are too basic to sound any good. Or 3. There is a magic pattern out there somewhere that once found will finally have your fingerpicking sound the way you want it to. None of these myths are true. This is because fingerpicking patterns alone are not musical. They're technical. It's what you do with the patterns that will determine how musical they sound. In this ebook, you learn how to make the most boring fingerpicking patterns sound amazing instantly. Plus, the simple trick to make advanced fingerpicking patterns easier to play, and the thumb and one finger trick that's so simple and will have your fingerpicking sounding pro in no time. Click the link in the description below this video and download your free ebook complete with video examples, 10 melodic fingerpicking patterns you can learn in 10 minutes or less. You'll have it in your inbox within minutes. Let me know in the comments what acoustic guitar topics you'd like to see covered in future videos. A lot of the things I do cover are suggested by you, so don't be shy, drop us a line in the comments below and I will check it out. If you like this video, then hit the like button, and if you haven't already, subscribe to the channel, and of course hit the all important notification bell button so YouTube can tell you when I've released a new video. This is Simon Candy from AcousticGuitarLessonsOnline.net. As always, I really do appreciate you taking the time to check out my videos. I hope you have enjoyed this one, and I will look forward to seeing you in the next video.